Good evening. The November 3rd meeting of the Clayton County Board of Education is called to order. Would you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, in accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. We're going to go forward with board recognitions at this time. Ms. Jackson. Okay, board members, if you would join us at the front, we have a board recognition. Oh, and I will just go ahead and, well, no, I won't. I'll do that later. We'll do a board recognition, please, if you'll join me down front.
Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Jackson, and ladies and gentlemen, I would ask Ken Thompson, our Chief Financial Officer, if he would join us up front. And I would ask Lanita Evans, who is one of our officials in our Business Services Office, if she would come forward along with members of the purchasing staff. The Achievement of Excellence in Procurement recognizes organizational excellence in procurement. Public and nonprofit organizations earn the award by obtaining a high application score based on standardized criteria. The judging criteria are designed to measure innovation, professionalism, e-procurement, productivity, and leadership attributes of the procurement function. It is our pleasure to announce that Clayton County Public Schools has earned the 2014 Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award. Moreover, Clayton County Public Schools is one of only 10 government agencies in Georgia to win this honor. It should also be noted that it is only one of 23 school districts in the entire United States to receive this honor. This is the 6th consecutive year that Clayton County Public Schools has received the Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award from the sponsoring agencies. Would those who are here in support of this outstanding recognition and effort please stand for proper recognition.
Hello, I'm Lanita Evans, and I would like to introduce our team. We have Ms. Trudy Smith. She's a junior buyer in the department. We have Ms. Carolyn Taylor. Jennifer Miller. Sorry, I knew that. She's the P-card administrator. And then we have Tammy Miller. She's the admin 3 / everything else we need. Thank you, ladies.
I think y'all missed this, but as they turned to go away, one of the workers from Ms. Collier said, "Give me the trophy." It was good. Board members, according to our list, we have no public officials to recognize this evening, and we have no reason for an executive session that's been brought to the attention of the board officers or the superintendent. So we will not be having an executive session this evening, and so we're ready for the announcements by the Vice Chair.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. Here are the announcements for the month of November. The month of November has been proclaimed as Georgia Homelessness Awareness Month. Clayton County Public Schools is using this time to focus on sharing information about issues involving homeless children and youth as we observe hunger and homelessness awareness, with special emphasis on the week of November 15th. Y'all throwing me off over there. November 15th through the 23rd. The wearing of green ribbons throughout November demonstrates support of maintaining a stable educational environment for homeless children and youth. The month of November is also home to School Psychology Awareness Week, November 10th through the 14th. The theme for this year is Strive, Grow, Thrive. Tuesday, November 4th, is a staff development workday. Students will not attend school on this day. Employees who report to work on November 4th will work a half day. The district will return to its regular schedule on Wednesday, November 5th. The next of our professional learning days will take place on Wednesday, November 12th. The schedule for the early dismissal of our students is as follows. All primary and elementary schools except Unidos will release at 1:15. Unidos Elementary will release at 2 o'clock. Middle schools and elite scholars will release at 2:30. High schools will release at 2 p.m., Eddie White Academy at 1:25, and finally, Ash Street will release at 2 o'clock. All schools and offices will be closed Monday through Friday, November 24th through the 28th for Thanksgiving holidays. The district will return to the regular schedule on Monday, December 1st. The next board work session will be on Monday, November 17th at 6 o'clock p.m. That will be here in the boardroom. The November board meeting will be here in the boardroom on Monday, December 1st at 6 o'clock p.m. Finally, the annual holiday food drive sponsored by the district school social work department is underway. Food baskets will be prepared and distributed to the Clayton County families who are in need. The families will be selected by individual schools. Non-perishable foods may be donated to schools and offices throughout the county between now and November 17th. Meat should be delivered to the Morrow Annex on November 18th and 19th between the hours of 9:30 and 1 o'clock p.m. The Morrow Annex is located at 2260 Old Rex Morrow Road in Morrow. Also this month, we are celebrating in the month of November Native American Heritage Month. The Library of Congress, National Archives, and other civic organizations are joining together this month to pay tribute to the rich ancestry and traditions of Native Americans. And lastly, Madam Chair, we would like to recognize the 43rd Leadership Clayton class. These are business professionals that are going above and beyond to become better leaders connected with their community and advocates for Clayton County Public School. All right, and Madam Chair, this concludes tonight's announcements. Thank you. Is the Leadership Clayton class here tonight? All right, would you please stand? All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Board members, it's time to approve the minutes from our retreat on September the 23rd, our work session on September the 29th, and our board meeting on October the 6th. Are there corrections or additions, Ms. Gorey?
Yes, Madam Chair. As I looked at the minutes from the retreat, according to the minutes, there's a statement here that said that the board members were given a spreadsheet containing information of the board evaluation, as completed by members of the public. And I don't recall receiving that. I know you said that there were 3 return forms. So did you provide that for us?
Yes, ma'am, I did, and I'd be glad to send you a copy if you'd like.
Okay, I would like that. I just wanted to make sure. I knew that we had gotten a spreadsheet. I just wanted to make certain that that was correct. So if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
could send, I would love to see that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make me a note, and I'll send you another copy.
Okay.
Other corrections or additions? Okay, then the minutes will stand approved as written. Thank you so much. We are ready for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and community. I open my remarks with an expression of gratitude to all who worked on this year's Principal Partners Day activity. In its 5th year, Principal Partners Day is a cooperative venture with Clayton County Chamber of Commerce. This year, nearly 80 community representatives spend a portion of Tuesday, October 28th, shadowing principals in each of our schools. Afterward, community participants and principals shared experiences over lunch while listening to the Riverdale High School Jazz Band. We hope that this activity will build lasting relationships between the schools and their respective partners. This Saturday, November 8th, Clayton County Public Schools is privileged to team with Safe America Foundation, Sprint, WSB, Monarch and Associates, the UPS Foundation, Allstate, and the Clayton County Board of Commissioners Chairman Jeff Turner to host the first annual Southside Brain Camp, a fun-filled educational safety expo. Brain Camp will be held at the newly remodeled Delta Flight Museum near Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport beginning at 9 a.m. More than 1,250 middle school and high school students and parents from Clayton County have registered to participate in this initiative, which promotes service learning, community service, literacy development, college and career readiness, and focuses on safe driving behaviors for our students. Clayton County student participants will be rewarded for participating and demonstrating their concern for driver safety with extra credit in English language arts. Last week, the Georgia Department of Education released 4-year cohort graduation rates for the class of 2014. Overall, Clayton County Public Schools showed a 4.5-point increase in the number of seniors graduating on time. The percentage increase exhibited by the county's high schools was higher than the growth among high schools statewide. Let me say that again. The percentage increase exhibited by the county's high schools was higher than the growth among high schools statewide. That means we did better. Our 2013 to 2014 improvement reflects a focus on continuous monitoring of high school student enrollment and withdrawal and students' academic success. It's helping more seniors meet graduation requirements. And for the first time since its formation, the Jackson Elementary School of the Arts will stage a musical production without outside assistance. Disney's Aladdin Jr. will be presented at the district's Performing Arts Center on Friday and Saturday, November 14th and 15th. Each of the 450 students enrolled in the School of the Arts will participate in this production in some capacity. Congratulations to teachers from Mara Middle, Rex Middle, and Mara High for being selected to attend the Ron Clark Academy training for Georgia teachers. Georgia Power is refocusing its endeavors to support education for thousands of students across the state of Georgia under the theme Powered Energy to Power Education Training at the Ron Clark Academy. These 6 teachers will participate in this innovative 2-day training on November 13th and 14th. The High Museum in Atlanta has established an official partnership with the district. It is the first time the High Museum has partnered with a school system. The partnership will allow our students to attend field trips to the High Museum free of charge. It will also give one junior senior an opportunity to intern at the museum. Also, our students will have the opportunity to display their work at the High every year in an annual Clayton County Public Schools exhibit. We are finalizing a memorandum of understanding, which will be signed within the next few days. The Babb Middle School chapter of Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America partnered with the personnel from Home Depot to create a garden for the school. FCCLA members took turns clearing the ground of the garden site on Wednesday, October 22. Also participating in the development of this space were parents and representatives of the Clayton County Cooperative Extension Master Gardener Program. The garden, which becomes a permanent part of the school's landscape, will feature in its planting fall vegetables. To fulfill our vision of equipping our students to become productive and responsible citizens, elementary, middle, and high school students had the opportunity to participate in a district-wide mock election. Students cast their votes for candidates in the gubernatorial, congressional, and state representative races. Students also had the opportunity to vote on the local referendum for MARTA. Results from the district-wide mock election will be available on Wednesday, November 5th. As we congratulate several athletic teams for their championship efforts during fall sports, we note a theme of repeat titles. In the Clayton County Cross Country Championships, Forest Park High School girls won the title, while Mara High School boys took the title for each, a second consecutive championship. Congratulations. In middle school athletics, Sequoia Middle School girls volleyball team completed its third perfect season in a row while winning the county title. Congratulations. And in a middle school football, congratulations to the Babb Middle School Bulldogs, who won the 2014 Clayton County Middle School Championship by defeating the Eddie White Academy Wolves. And now, board members, I just want to remind you to please advise Sherry of your nominee for the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. This ends my report for this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I feel compelled to tell the audience that Dr. Anderson's son plays on that Babb team. That's why all this outburst over here. Ms. Gray, did you have a comment to make?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Since you just mentioned those schools, and I've gotten an email from one of those principals, will they be coming to the school board meeting for recognition?
Dr. Smith has spoken with that principal, and following.
Well, no. I'm not saying just one. I'm saying all, because we recognize our high school teams, and our middle school teams are just as important. And I just would particularly, Babb, and they're generally there. So I'm just trying to find out whether or not I'm just going to say this. I think that we should have those students come to the board for recognition. That's what I think. I don't know if the rest of the board feels like it, but I think that they do. And then my other comment would be, I do want to go back and find out when we can have a discussion about the board and partnerships and clubs. We've had this group come in tonight. I've emailed you about a partnership that was at North Clayton Middle School. We have a men's mentoring group. We have a female mentoring group. We've had the PTA. All of those organizations, and I even throw a New Macedonia Baptist Church that has a basketball league. All of these people have contacted me. We essentially put them out of the schools. Now, the Secretary of Education, Arnie Duncan, says that the school is an integral part of the community. In essence, it is the center of the community. And I don't feel that we need to be closing our doors to good programs. When I look at this program, just like I kept asking about this grant that we got from the health center that's going to be at North Clayton High School. So that was a grant. We're going to let them come in the building. I don't know if we're charging them rent. I would say probably not.
Ms. Corey,
But
Ms. Corey, may I interrupt you just a second, hon? This is not on the agenda, and by law we
Dr.
can't.
Adamson,
But
this
Ms.
has
Corey, we can.
nothing to do with the agenda.
Ms. Corey, it does,
I
and
am
you are out of
asking-
order.
This is the
Ms. Corey, you are out of
superintendent's
order.
report, and I'm
Ms.
asking a
Corey, I'm
question.
asking you to be quiet.
I'm asking a
Ms. Corey,
question. Okay,
we will
excuse
put
me,
it,
point of
I was trying to
information,
tell you that we will
Clem.
put it on the agenda
Okay.
for a meeting or a retreat, but it's not on this agenda, and we cannot discuss this, and that's what you're doing. So you're going to stop discussing it now. If you would like to submit it as either a retreat or a work session agenda item, we'd love to discuss it, okay?
Excuse me, Dr. Adamson, as I believe I was asking a question as such. This is what I would like. When I'm asking a question,
Ms.
I
Corey.
would greatly appreciate it if you would not interrupt me.
Ms. Corey, I only interrupt you when you're
Yes,
out of
you
order,
did.
and you
I'm
are
not
out of order. Ms. Corey,
It's
Ms.
something
Corey,
that needs
please
to
be
be
quiet.
discussed. Please put it on the
Ms.
agenda
Corey.
and give us a
Ms.
written
Corey,
statement.
please be quiet.
I'm going to be quiet
Thank
now
you.
because I'm finished with what I have to say.
Thank you.
And I'm a member of the board, Dr. Adamson, and I have a right to speak.
No, ma'am,
and I'm
not
tired
when you're
of you
out of order.
interrupting
You
me.
do not.
You are out of order.
No, ma'am. Ms. Corey, if you would like that on a future agenda, please submit it as an agenda item, and we'd be glad to do that. Moving ahead, board members, it is time for us to look at the consent agenda.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just have a question.
Mr. King, real quick.
Will we get an update, a report concerning the issues involving passport? I hadn't seen anything.
Well, I hadn't need them, so that's why we're giving the superintendent time to respond, and yes, sir, we will. Yes, sir, thank you. Okay. The consent agenda involves the purchasing report, the financial report, the, the SPLOST 4 revenue report, the personal changes report, the SPLOST construction update, and the tentative board meeting calendar for 2015. Board members, per my comment last Saturday at the retreat, I would like to pull the technology item on the B2 part of the purchasing report for separate consideration. So I would like a motion to approve the, first of all, is there any objections to us pulling that one item? Okay, all right, then I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda minus that one thing. Dr. Anderson.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve the consent agenda minus the technology item in B2.
And Ms. Burrows.
I second the motion.
Okay, and board members, if you would vote your pleasure regarding.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Since you just spoke about something not being on the agenda, I understand that you're going to pull it, but in doing so, are you going to have discussion, or how are you going to handle this? You mentioned ratifying this.
Yes, ma'am. As I told you Saturday, it'll be open for discussion
Okay,
once we get
so
past this.
since it's not on the agenda, and you want everybody to be in order, you want me to be in order, do you think that it might be better to add it to the agenda for discussion?
Ms. Gorey, it's on the agenda as part of the purchasing report, but Mr. Doyle, I will yield to you for that, but I see no reason to have it as a separate item. We pull them all the time and discuss them.
Yeah, my understanding, Madam Chair, is it's on the agenda and it's being moved from the consent agenda to the business agenda.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm talking about the one item in particular. We're talking about one item in particular.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want us to be, since we need to be in order with everything.
Okay, we're ready to vote. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda minus that one item. So board members, if you would vote your pleasure. And it is unanimous. Thank you so much. And now we will go into our business agenda by considering that one item that we pulled. I'm going to make just some quick comments and then open it for discussion, and then we'll vote. Board members, please know that I'm going to ask you eventually to ratify what has been done on that particular item. It's not appropriate to vote to approve or disapprove because it's been done, but to ratify an action that's already been taken. But this has to do with a $4 million plus contract with Process for 7,500 HP computers. They're Chromebooks, I'm sorry, they're not computers. And that was provoked by the state mandate that we provide 30% online assessment for our students for this milestone assessment that's coming up in the spring. So that having been said, just to kind of couch it so everybody will know what we are discussing, The floor is open for discussion, and I'll begin with Ms. Corey.
I don't want to discuss it. I want you, actually, I think you might need to go back and add something to that motion.
I haven't made one
No,
at
no,
all.
no, I'm talking about when you pull from the consent, because remember, it's also two places on there. Remember, it's also the headphones.
Well, show me where the headphones is, and you may be correct.
It's at the bottom of the page. Both of them say emergency. And remember when we had the discussion, there was a part, so I'm thinking maybe you might need to go back and, since we voted, so.
Let's do that. Thank you, Ms. Corey. That's a good point.
Okay.
Board members, if you'll follow, that's on page B2, and I did not catch that. Thank you, Ms. Corey. It's a different vendor. It's for $148,000. You see that for the headphones. So that does fall in the same category. So I haven't made a motion yet. There has been no motion yet.
You didn't pull both. That's what I'm.
Dr. Anderson asked me if I wanted to restate the motion.
Yeah,
and I was just telling her there hadn't been one yet.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you mean the previous motion? Do we need to go back and do the previous motion again? Who made that previous motion to? All right, Dr. Anderson, will you amend your motion to say that we're pulling the item for the computers and the headphones?
All right. I amend my motion at this time. We're going to pull the technology item B2 and then the headphones also.
Thank you. And who was it? Ms. Burrows, you seconded that motion, I believe, and would you amend your second to include that?
I'd like to amend my second to include the headphones.
Thank you. And board members, just to be safe, let's vote again to pull, to approve the agenda item minus those things. Mr. King? And it is still unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Corey. That was a good catch. All right. So now we're open for discussion on the Chromebooks. The motion will ultimately be, and I guess we can go ahead, Board, I move that we ratify the superintendent's purchase of the Chromebooks and of the headphones based on the state's mandate. And I need a second of that, and then we'll just throw it open for discussion. Ms. Baker?
I second.
Okay, good. All right, now, any discussion? I think that we've all thought about it a long time. Ms. Corey?
Just as I stated last week, emergency purchases, if it's an emergency, I think that within a week or so or whenever it's made, I just think that information needs to be given to the board. And of course, my issue with this is I understand that it was a needed purchase. It wasn't an emergency. It just seems to me that it should have been brought back before the board. We needed information about it. It should have been brought to the board. And I understand that the superintendent is the CEO and all things come from, she has a lot of responsibilities, but, in essence, the superintendent does sign off on it. So, we need information, and if the superintendent reports to the board, then that's information that I feel like should have been generated to us way back when the purchase was made, so that we don't come to the board. This isn't the first time this happened. We've had a couple of other incidences like this, and I don't think that we want when I say this, since, we've been on the board, we've had emergency things, that we've needed. It's just that it would just really be nice if, we could know, what it is, because I don't want the public to think by us doing this tonight that we don't support instruction, because I really don't have any problem with any instructional item. It's just I have a problem with someone saying it's an emergency, and it's really not an emergency. It's a requirement that we need in order to meet the testing mandate.
Thank you, Ms. Corey. And Mr. Christmas?
I just simply, Madam Chair, why are we ratifying this?
The purchase was made as an emergency purchase, and as Ms. Corey just explained, it was not an emergency. An emergency occurs, just so everyone will hear it, when the superintendent and the board chair are not able to get the board to meet and make a decision. That's an emergency. And that was not the case at this time because we had 3 meetings in September, and we could have called another meeting had we needed one. So the purchase was made over a month ago, and those internet devices are on their way to the school district, so it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to cancel the order. So to make it legal and right, we ratified the action, saying that we are in hindsight going to approve that particular purchase. Approves probably the wrong legal word, but we are going to ratify the purchase, which means that we're supporting that purchase.
Okay, so how do we as a board not allow this to happen again? Because $4.3 million is a lot of money.
I think that enough people have become aware of the fact that you simply cannot say something's an emergency if it is not, and if the board has not been given an opportunity to meet or to respond or to make a recommendation, it's not. And it's not just the superintendent, although the buck stops on her desk. It would engage staff members as well that decided this was an emergency. It's my understanding that they got the information sometime in August and wanted to get the machines here in sufficient time to train the teachers and to train the students on, because this is a different device from what we usually have. And so it's critically important. That was the emergency, in that to get them here in a timely manner, and emergency also in the sense that our purchasing department, which gets accolades, did not have time, based on the state's timeline, and for us to make it happen, to do a regular bid process. So that indeed was an emergency. They would have had to have had an emergency bid of some kind. But it fails the test of emergency as far as for board approval.
So how do we not allow this to happen again?
I think that our superintendent talks to her staff, and I think most of them heard the consternation of the board last week. And there are actions that we as a board can take if it ever happens again. Ms. Gorey said that it happened before, and I was told by staff members that it happened before, but I didn't know about that. So,
Right. May I say,
Madam Superintendent, yes.
while it might have happened before, it wasn't during my time. And so this is, and based on what we believe the definition to be, might have been some misunderstanding. And so given that and the transparency we've talked about, and how we do want to make sure our board relations and superintendent relations are above board, this will not happen again.
Okay. Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent Jackson. Madam Chair, I heard you speak last week about looking at our policy for emergency buys. Is that still something we're doing?
I asked our board council to begin looking at that. The one thing we do not want to do, Mr. Christmas, is say that a superintendent cannot make an emergency purchase or take an emergency action, because certainly there are emergencies. One that's just everyone knows about was when we had the huge flood last year, and the school in Cobb County flooded up to its ceiling, and that was an emergency action. Things had to happen, and had to happen quickly. But even in the midst of that emergency action, Cobb County's board was kept abreast of everything that was going on. So I'm asking Mr. Doyle to bring us some kind of a wording for that helps us a little bit, so staff understands a little bit better what an emergency truly means based on state law. So that's sort of where we are with that. He'll bring it to us. Of course, he doesn't have it this evening. We'll get it in advance in time for consideration, and it'll go through the 2-month process. And he'll work with the superintendent or her staff to create that.
And just for further clarification, while we got a notification in August, we did not get any specifics about exactly what it was we were to do. So as the month went on is when we got more information. We've been having information about milestones since last year or the year before, but as to specifics about milestones, we still may not have. So while then we had to look at how can we get this information that the students need in their hands so that they have time to practice, the teachers have time to go over it. And again, it is the interpretation, and so while we are now having a more clear understanding, then we will follow it accordingly.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'm going to say this. I'm not trying to be hard or nothing, but $4.3 million. That's an emergency. And I understand we're running a $600 million school district, but an emergency to me, I mean that's just to me, it's just a statement. This ain't anything else. An emergency to me is I break my toe and I got to go to the hospital and it's going to cost me $100. But when you're talking about spending $4.3 million, we should have known, and that's just my problem. I get here and see 4.1, then I go down and see another 3. You add another 2, that's $4.3 million. But we have to have some systems in place that this will not happen again. And I thank you, Attorney Doyle, for looking into that. But we must have some systems in place. The superintendent has the right, and she should have the power to purchase what we need in the school district. But we have to have some procedures in place so we will know as a board. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Christmas. Mr. Bivens, you had your light on. Did you take it off? Okay. So we'll go to Mr. King.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Madam Superintendent, can the board get a copy of that August notification?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anyone else before I go back to Ms. Gorey for her second? Dr. Anderson? Okay. Anyone else? So we'll go to Ms. Gorey.
I'm going to actually beg to differ, Ms. Jackson, when you said that this hasn't happened. And when I said this happened before, actually when you came on as superintendent, you did have an emergency, which was, remember, you did the security, but, you know, that was to us an emergency. Remember, that was when you came in, that was, I think, we had changed the sheriff, and they were going to pull out. So
I stand corrected.
Right, well, I'm just saying, and I understand that, but in the past, the board is saying they don't recall, but we've had other things such as, I think one year, the transportation department, we did some lifts or something for our, you know, for our buses or whatever. So what I'm saying is we have had emergencies before, and I guess in the meantime, between now when we have another meeting, since Mr. Doyle is going to draft something for us, you know, can we just kind of go away with this and say that, you know, if you need something like within the next month and we don't have anything drafted, you know, just let, you know, our officers know, and they can just, you know, send us an email or whatever.
Yes, that's what we intend to do.
Yeah, so we don't, because pretty much I don't necessarily need any lengthy, drawn-out legal thing. I just need, just say, you know,
Right.
we need this, just let us know.
Right.
And then we don't even have to have this conversation again. We'll
Right.
just, if it's
And we do want to do it as quickly as we can.
Right.
And we did follow what we had done in the past.
Right.
And so therefore, you know, and I agree, we can just move on because we want to benefit our students.
Thank you. Dr. Anderson?
I'm also going to make this statement. The State Department comes up with something new every other day as it pertains to the milestones. So, Mr. Christmas, I do understand what you're saying. We do need to know ahead of time, but I think with all of the things that are coming down, just as Ms. Jackson said, we didn't know how many students we were going to have to actually test. I know for my district, we have to do all the read-only students, and plus we have to do all the 4th and 7th grade students. So, you know, it's just, and I think that everybody feels like it's an emergency because a lot of our students are not computer literate, and they want to make sure that they are well prepared for the test. So, Ms. Jackson and staff, I do understand, but again, please let us know by email or however you can do it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we're almost ready to vote. I will just say amen to Dr. Anderson's comments. The State Department brought this down for those of you that don't follow a budgeting cycle, but this mandate came in August to do this, which required all the school systems in the state to look at their technology that they had available. The State Department had no regard for the fact that we had put a budget in place and approved it in June, that we had given our teachers a pay raise, or our employees, not just our teachers, our employees a pay raise. that we had set our millage rate, which caps how much money we can collect, and then they tell us, in essence, after the fact, that we have to spend some $4 million on technology, and that's wrong. Any way you look at it, and you can show this on the nightly news, I don't care. It is just really wrong for a State Department to be out of touch with the way a school district operates and the way they have to budget their funds as little as they have, because this purchase was not even in the budget. So it's egregious on the part of the State Department, which provoked this. So it's regrettable. Mr. King, I'll let you speak, and then we're going to take a vote, okay?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I think I looked in Office Depot and I was looking at some Chromebook. I know we had a great presentation on Chromebook. The price that we're going to ratify, how much does that deviate from the average Chromebook that you could probably purchase at a Office Depot, if Ms. Jackson got that information? The one I saw at Office Depot was about $250, I think.
Is right. And there is another piece to this too. The state gave us different items that we could choose from. Am I correct on that?
Yes, ma'am. They gave us a list of different items or devices that, that we could choose from. The Chromebook just being one of those devices that were less expensive than the traditional Windows laptop. The Chromebook laptop comes in at a lower price. To answer your question, I can't say specifically in terms of comparing apples to apples, because most of the time anybody can go out on the internet and do a search. There's several Chromebook vendors out there. Acer is one that comes in at a lower price point. So I'd be more prepared to answer that question if you could provide Ms. Jackson with that specific device, and I can get back to you with an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, I understand, but we are ratified, and you know.
Okay. And then you're talking about the compatibility to what we already have too, according to that as well, isn't it?
And that's what I'm trying to get information on, how much deviation are we talking about? I mean, people at Office Depot indicated that you can get the same thing done with a Chrome box.
We didn't consider the Chrome box because the box itself actually has to be set up with an additional monitor, because it's not like your laptop device. So think about it like in the old days, you would have a dumb terminal that connected to a mainframe. And I know I'm going way back, but you actually have to have an additional monitor, and then you actually have to have keyboards, and then you have to have a mouse to connect to that box. So while they are right that price point does come in lower, with the Chromebook device, it's an all-in-one device with a 14-inch display, keyboard, wireless access. So it's a different kind of device, but the theory is the same. That Chrome box is going to connect you to the internet to give you that same kind of access, but you're going to need all those peripheral devices to make it a functioning device for students to be able to use for an assessment.
In addition to, like, we have the headsets, we also have to make accommodations for all of our students that need it. And this device has to be compatible with that piece as well.
Yeah, my concern is is with this one vendor. We go to this one vendor with a check of over $4 million, where you got other potential people out there who could provide the product at a lesser price and with the same quality. And that's what caused me a great deal of concern. And you get in a whole lot of trouble when you deal with one vendor. Somebody wondering whether or not somebody's getting some kickbacks. That's what I've heard. So that's my concern.
Okay, well, let me assure you, that's not the case here. With, no, sir.
I believe this is the same vendor that we bought some $4 million worth of computers from just a few months back. Is that correct? That is correct. Okay, somebody said yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we've exhausted. I think everybody understands that we're displeased about this whole thing, but I guess the bottom line is that the internet devices are on their way, and it would be very difficult to cancel the order, and our children need them. So are we ready to vote? Okay, the motion was to ratify those previous purchases, so board members, or the previous actions, so board members, if you would vote. And the motion passes with 7 votes in favor, 1 in opposition, and 1 abstention. Mr. King?
Just lack of sufficient information.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we're down to the rest of the business agenda. We have the Policy Series L, Interorganizational Relations. Ms. Gorey.
Before you take a motion on that, I looked at this policy. I was reviewing my packet again today, and I don't think that we need to vote on something that I'm not sure if this information is correct or what. But if you look on page, this is the policy on LEBA. On page 1, couldn't understand really why we changed it anyway. But if you go all the way down, this is about the Title I. There's a statement that says that it would coordinate and integrate parental involvement programs, activities, and strategies with Head Start. I know we do have Head Start, but Reading First, Early Reading First, and Even Start. I was the director of Even Start Family Literacy. That no longer exists. I thought that the Reading First grant, I thought that was over with, and I thought the Early Reading First grant we no longer had. So I'm just wondering why we put those 3 in there, and I don't have a problem with voting for it, but I don't want to vote for something that I know doesn't exist anymore. I mean, but it could exist, but not to my knowledge.
Ms. Corey, would you be in favor of voting for this if we instruct the staff to go back and find out which ones indeed of these programs are still operational?
Well, Madam
And-
Chair,
Yes,
also, and Ms. Lowe may correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these guidelines came from the state DOE, and so we're incorporating them into policy, even though we may not have particular programs at our local level.
Well, I'm asking, someone in here knows whether those exist anymore. I thought those grants ran out, and I'm saying even with
statewide.
Yeah, I'm even saying with Even Start, I thought the grant was gone. So because I looked at what we originally had, and I wasn't sure that I wasn't sure why we took all the other stuff out there. But Dr. Adams, I couldn't exactly hear you. You said is it all right if, what did you say?
Actually, why don't we just postpone the vote on this till the next board meeting, and that'll give us time to find out, and we'll know what we're voting. This is not something that's critical to the day-to-day operations of the school district, and it'll be fine. Is that okay with the board if we just, what we'll do is we'll put it back on the agenda for the work session that's coming up, and the board, the department, the staff can give us an update on that. I'll get it straight, Ms. Corey, and then we can vote on it at that December board meeting. Is that okay? Oh, good. Okay. So that one, if no one has objections, I assume no one does. All right, good. Then we're ready to approve the Policy Series M. Policy Series M, Relations with Other Education Agencies. Dr. Anderson.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve Policy Series M.
I need a second to that motion. Ms. Baker.
Second.
And is there any discussion on this? Let me clear my board just for a second, board members. Hang on, let me get it all clear. There we go. Okay, now is there any discussion? Okay, then we're ready to vote on this one. If you would vote on Policy Series M. And the motion passes with 8 votes in favor and 1 in opposition. So thank you very much. We did not have an executive session, and therefore we have no recommendations from executive session. I will remind you, as the superintendent did earlier, to turn in your name and contact information for your member for the Citizens Budget Committee. Dr. Foley, are you here?
Yes.
Would you wave your hand? See that hand? That hand wants money. That's for our Student Services Department, who's putting together baskets, food baskets for Thanksgiving, not Christmas. This is for Thanksgiving. So if y'all would contribute to Dr. Foley, and I don't believe Ms. Davis is here, Sonia Davis.
No, she's not here.
But we all received an email from Ms. Davis today asking for donations for our homeless transition families for Christmas. So if you would take care of that board as well. And I think that concludes our business, so we're adjourned.